Chelsea fans have got a reputation of being one of the most toxic fan bases on Twitter, social media. And let's just say this, after the West Ham game the other day, they pretty much reverted back to type on social media. Chelsea fan channels on YouTube are pretty much saying the same sort of stuff. Reactions on other people's watch-alongs that I've seen clips of are pretty much the same. Doom and gloom and all sorts. And my God, fucking wake up and just get a fucking grip of yourselves. Jesus Christ. This video is to try to get some of you to see a little bit of perspective. And I'm going to point some things out here because I wasn't happy with the defeat against West Ham. It was gutting because we played so well, but we didn't capitalise and we fell into the same trap as last season. That's just coincidental. That's not something that's going to be a part of this season under Mauricio Pochettino. So the little reality check I want to give every single Chelsea fan out there that's watching this, whether you're positive, whether you're negative, whether you're one of those sad people that wants to just doom and gloom on social media and rip people to shreds and say absolute bollocks. Let's just put it in perspective by starting with the fact that Mauricio Pochettino hasn't been here for 2 months yet. He's worked with the players for a number of weeks, but not even 2 months, and not even all of the players. We have signed in the last week or last week 2 of the best young midfielders there are, up and coming and potential-wise, potentially world class in Caicedo and Lavia, but that's going to be the future. That's going to be Chelsea's future. And people need to understand that. But Pochettino needs time to mould this team. Now, in my view, Chelsea need to finish near the European places or in the European places, whether that's Conference League, whether that's Europa League or Champions League, hopefully top 4. But we need to be there at the end of this season. We've got the whole season to get there. We are 2 games in. But the point here is Pochettino has only managed these players, not all of them, for not even 2 months yet. It takes time to build. It takes time to develop the ideas. It takes time for everyone to sing off the same hymn sheet. And Pochettino is working hard. Think back to Antonio Conte. What did he used to say time and time again in press conferences at Chelsea, at Tottenham, everywhere else you saw him? He kept talking about you have to work. We must work. We must work continuously, over and over. Repeat, repeat. That's all he kept saying. And that's all a manager can do. And that's what Mauricio Pochettino will continue to do with his staff. Now, what I will say about that is there's been a marked improvement in our mentality already in the 2 games that we've seen against Liverpool and against West Ham. Last season, we would have crumbled or just had a complete lack of ideas. In both games from going behind, the response we had was magnificent. We were dominant. We pinned both teams back inside their own half. They couldn't get out. Chelsea created numerous chances and just didn't take them, but for the final ball, final pass. Someone not quite on the same wavelength yet after only a couple of weeks together, and missed penalty. But the reaction from us was brilliant. We're dictating games. We're dominating games. We've got an identity. We've got Enzo Fernandez, a different player completely to what he was stuck with last season with the players around him and the way we were being asked to play. He has now got so much more freedom, and his performances already in these 2 games are literally up there as being near to world class. That's been the biggest positive for me. But the fact that we reacted in both games to going a goal behind, we've been calm, we've continued to play the way that Mauricio Pochettino wants us to do, and we've been completely dominant in both games. So that's something you need to consider, bearing in mind, again, we've only worked with him for a couple of months. There's still players getting used to his ways. There's players hopefully still coming into the football club. Just give it some time. But another point I want to make is Pochettino worked with players and we all saw the potential partnership with Nkunku and Jackson and how good that looked. The 2 of them working together, linking up with each other was really, really good. What happens before the season starts in the week building up to the season? Nkunku gets injured, out for months. Plans disrupted. We have to adjust for the Liverpool game. I've already spoken about how we reacted in that game. We should have won it. Nkunku was a blow. Then what happens after the Liverpool game? Building up to West Ham game last week, we lose Reece James. He's out. So once again, Pochettino has to adjust for a second time. Malo Gusto comes in, had a good game for me, solid for me. He's come in and he did well. But again, it's not the first choice. We've had to change our players around. And also, a mention for Axel Disasi, who started off against Liverpool really shaky. He needs time to adjust to the Premier League, to adjust to the pace and power of the Premier League, which is different from over in the French League. Now, Benoit Badiashile will be the first choice to play next to Silva and Colwill if we go as a free, or potentially Silva and Badiashile starting with Colwill maybe pushing Badiashile, but it's those two fighting for the position. Disasi wouldn't be playing at the moment. He'll be easing his way in. And he's been shaky again. I don't really blame him for the goal, the Antonio goal against West Ham, because he did enough to face up and force the guy out wide. The fact that Antonio took the shot early surprised everybody through his legs. Sanchez couldn't get there, but Disasi needs time to settle down. The point I'm trying to make here is we've had two major injuries to people that be starting in our first team. We've had to adjust to again. Nkunku for the first game, building up to Liverpool, James for this one. Another point that I want to make here, we just have to just chill out a little bit as far as calling players out and calling for this nonsense about he should be dropped, he should be dropped. We're 2 games in to the season. It's only the second game of the season. Yes, we lost against West Ham, against 10 men West Ham, but in that game, in my live match commentary, I was talking about the fact that West Ham were lining up with 2 lines of 5, 35 yards out from their own goal line, no higher than that when Chelsea had the ball, to close down the space, to shut the door. And when they went down to 10 men, they did it even more so. Chelsea have defended to the death with 10 men. Barcelona away, Champions League. We can make it difficult. Any team can make it difficult for playing with 10 men for other teams to break them down. Yes, there's an argument to be more expansive, blah, blah, blah. But on another day, we'd be 2-1 up at half-time after Enzo missed the penalty. Another day, he scores it. Completely different game. But it takes time. We can't judge these players, the manager, the formation, the tactics. We can't blame anything on anybody right now, apart from defensive mistakes that we need to shore up. We need to start games better. We all understand that. But we can't sit here and just revert to type as Chelsea fans. This is all doom and gloom. This is the same shit. And all this nonsense I'm seeing on social media from other supporters, from other channels, big sports channels, let's just say that, news stations, radio stations. Chelsea has spent $1 billion for what? Chelsea will spend $1 billion over time as part of these deals spread out over time on the players that we've got. But I'm telling you right now, in the next 2 or 3 seasons, this Chelsea squad will be set in stone, is there. You'll have 1 player each window maybe come in. We have got a nucleus of a squad, a young squad that's going to grow together. And I guarantee you, that what you see now with Chelsea compared to what we're going to see after Christmas and what we'll see towards the end of the season will be very different. In my personal opinion, you have to start that midfield free, and by the end of the season, you're going to see embedded into the core and spine of that Chelsea team, Lavia, Caicedo, Enzo as our midfield free, and they will be for the next few seasons. Those 3 will be the core, will be the pivot, will be where everything goes off of, and they will dictate the success of this football club. And we'll end up switching to 4-3-3, and we'll play with the 2 wingers, Mudryk and Madueke, Sterling out there, and Nkunku, with Jackson up front or Broya, or another striker if we bring one in. There's so much scope, there's so much that we can do with this squad, the flexibility of this squad. People just need to calm down a bit. Just chill out and relax a little bit. And finally, I want to talk about Lewis Hall and all the reaction about Lewis Hall going, I can't believe Lewis Hall's gone, blah, blah, blah. I get the Chelsea youths of this social media world explaining it and saying their argument. I understand that completely. What you need to look at it now is from the football perspective and the business perspective. Ben Chilwell is a nailed-on starter. Ben Chilwell, we know, is great going forward, great defensively. He's an He's the all-round number one at our football club at left back or left wing back. After that, you got Cucurella, who didn't impress anybody really, and I think Cucurella will go. If Chelsea can get the fee, they'll sell him. And then that leaves you a choice of Ian Maatsen and also Lewis Hall. The fact that Ian Maatsen, and Pochettino said this himself, he can play a number of different positions. He can play on the left. He can play in the middle. He can play as a number 10. He could do a job on the right if you asked him to. I think that's where the decision's been made. So Hall's gone. 4 into 2 doesn't go. Hall went. 3 into 2 doesn't go. And that's why I think Cucurella's going to go. And it will leave us with the 2 that we need on that side. I needed to do this video. I wanted to do this video because I just need to get it out there. And people just need to chill out. They really, really do. Just stop the negativity. Stop the bleating. Stop the moaning. And just chill the fuck out. Pochettino's not been there for 2 months yet. We're 2 games into the season. He's not worked with every single player for an extensive period of time. There's still new players coming in. We need time to gel. Time to get our ideas across. Time to literally get the style of football completely down to how we're going to play and different circumstances, how we react, and put the ball in the back of the net. And it's all going to be worked on. It's all going to come together because he's that good of a manager. So please, just chill out. If you've enjoyed the video, if you have, drop a like on it, subscribe to the channel, let me know in the comment section. And for God's sake, ignore, unfollow, block the nonsense on social media. See you soon.